So I'm going to kind of walk you through my thought process as I'm doing this mixed media eye that you guys are supposed to work on this week. That is a test grade. All I have done so far is pull some materials from around my house that I might be using on it. So this is a water bottle lid that I might use for the highlight in the eye, because remember there's always a highlight somewhere. This is a part of a trash bag that I cut into a circle to possibly use for the pupil. You can see it's not perfectly round, but from further away it reads as being round. This was some craft paper from one of my daughter's projects, so that could possibly be used as the iris. So right now this is what I have. I don't know how happy I am with it. I know that I still have to use some drawing elements, and this is my sketchbook, so I'm thinking that I'll use this to draw the shape of the eye on. And I need some shading in here. I need the lash lines. I need the eyelashes. I found some string that I kind of frayed a little bit to possibly use as eyelashes if I decide not to draw those. I'm not sure yet what I'm going to be using as a base, whether I'm going to be gluing this onto cardboard. So when you're at this step of the process, you just kind of start pulling stuff that you can use. I found some chalk. I have some yarn. I just used an old candle to cut out this shape because I wanted it round. So you can just find different things around your house, cups, mugs, to use as guides to help you cut circular shapes so that they're a little bit more perfect. And I have some glue over here. I found some pastels to possibly use. You guys can use color if you want. Just make sure I can see your drawing elements. Scissors, pencil, and then the can holder things to maybe add some shine. So that's what I have right now, and so I'm going to draw the eye shape next. So here's the eye that I drew as the realistic eye. Obviously it needed some more work. It's a few more eyelashes in here and some more shading to make it look a little bit more round. But you guys can also use the eye that you drew as a reference if you were comfortable with it. So remember that the sclera needs to be shaded to give roundness. The eye shape, you can use your eye as a reference if you like, or you can use mine. But I do recommend kind of looking at an eye as a reference while you're doing this so that you can try and get the shape pretty close to where it needs to be. So because you are working with a larger eye, and so it helps to have something to look at, because a larger eye can sometimes be a little bit more difficult to do accurately. Now, I am drawing this oriented towards you guys, and so it's not towards me. So I am going to draw this on here and then fix it after I stop the video, because it'll probably be a little bit wonky once I look at it. And I need this kind of as a ref. Oh, that's too small. Okay, so you need to have your iris available as a reference, because remember it needs to float above the lower lash line just a little bit so that it looks a little bit more realistic. And I'm not asking that this looks totally accurate, guys, but it should read as a more realistic eye than perhaps the first one that you did when I was just asking to see where you guys were at with your skill level. Okay, so let me see if you guys can see that. Yeah. Okay, so it should look about like this. This is close to my eye anyway. Like I said, please feel free to draw your own eye. Okay, and I am going to have to clean up these edges, but I wanted a shape to cut out. So I am going to need to make this edge enough so that I can cut it out when I'm ready, probably, or to have some sort of background to work with. So I need to clean up some of these edges a little bit. Erase the original marking I had here that was too low. Let me turn it towards me so I can see what it looks like. Not too bad. Okay. So what I think I am going to do, let me think here. And this is a constant decision-making process. As I've been working this whole time, I've been thinking about if I need to just use the outer edge of this, or if I actually want to use this whole thing. I might change the highlight. I don't know how much I actually like the highlight. I might use something more like this, so it'll just kind of catch the light. Like maybe use some pieces of this. I think that I might like that a little bit more. So as you're working, you just kind of make small decisions, and then when you actually assemble it, that's when you make your final decisions. Okay, so you see how I'm kind of sketching it in, and then I go back and clean up my edges, because we want those light lines. Before we commit to anything. And I'm doing this more because it is a larger piece. Okay, so I'm going to turn off the camera for a few minutes and work. So I taped this paper, my sketchbook paper that I was drawing on, to the cardboard. And now that I've drawn in my eye a little bit better, you can see I added an eyelid here at the top. I darkened the lash line a little bit. I added the lower eyelid, which is very important to make it look more real. I shaded above the lower lash line a little bit. And I've started shading in the inner corner of the eye here a little bit, and shading in the outer corner of the eye. So remember that the shading here in the corners of the eye is very important to make it look round, to make the white part of the eye look round. And you want to make sure that you're holding your pencil pretty far out. You can see how far out I'm holding it, and I'm using the side of the pencil. And this is just a regular pencil, like most of you guys have. So make sure you're using a very light hand. Remember, we add in layers, and you're covering pretty evenly. And so I will be using a blending stump to blend. You guys can use a tissue, a Q-tip, a paper towel. Last resort would be a finger, because a finger kind of adds your the oils in your hands into the mix, and sometimes that doesn't quite give you the effect you're trying to achieve. So I am making sure as I blend out that these lines get lighter and a little bit more further apart, because we don't want to darken the whole white of the eye, because that just makes it look like the person has red eyes or something, like they didn't get enough sleep. So I hope that you can see that. See how it gets a little bit more sparse as I go out. I'm going to do the same thing over here. And I haven't decided yet if I'm going to be adding any color to mine yet, because I'm going to have the iris, maybe this, and then the pupil. So mine will already be pretty bright. So I'm going to have to make sure that my shading is really dark so it can compete with that. So actually I'm going to darken mine up a little bit. I might need some color. I haven't decided. So yeah, remember, we're building. We don't want it all in the first go round, because it makes it hard to come back from that if you make a mistake. Okay, so make sure this lash line is in here, because I know a lot of you guys forgot it with the last drawing, and I mentioned it in the realistic eye video because it is very important if you wanted to make a realistic eye drawing. important to make sure that you don't forget it. You want to make sure it's as uniform as you can get it. Uniform means the same size and shape all the way through. And I am kind of darkening mine up. Like I said, I was going to need to make mine a little bit sharper because I have these darker elements, the mixed media pieces. That's something for you guys to think about if you do use some darker mixed media pieces, because you don't want that to fade into the background. Okay, so this is what I have right now. Let me pull it out a little bit. That's what I have right now. Kind of looks like a big empty eye. I'm going to start adding some eyelashes. So remember, when you add eyelashes, you want to make sure you push harder at the point of where you start, and then you flick. The flick is very important because you want that little curl on there so it looks like they're coming from that lash line. It's kind of an up and over. This can be fun to draw. And you want to make sure that they're not all the same, because eyelashes are not all the same. They're kind of haphazard coming out of your eye. Okay, so a few of those. And then the top lashes, it's the same thing. And those come a little bit lower. So a little kind of a hard flick. You don't want them uniform. Some are longer, some are shorter, some are in clumps. And make sure I get some off of the paper. It's okay to go off of the paper. Don't feel like you need to be restrained by the paper. Makes your composition more interesting. Make sure I get some here at the corner. They're typically longer. Okay, so let me look at this. Get some here. All right, so that's what I have so far. Let me check and see what it looks like. Not so bad. Okay, so I'm gonna pause here and work a little bit more. But you guys get an idea of what something like this should look like. So it should have at least 2 elements that are not drawing. It should definitely have drawing. It should look somewhat realistic. I don't mind if you guys put your own little spin on it, but remember, we are in the drawing unit, so it should have drawing in it. Okay? And I'm gonna work on this a little bit more and show it to y'all tomorrow in class. So please remember, this is a test grade. I want to be bowled over, okay? And there's a rubric that I'm grading this by. So if you do what you're supposed to do according to the rubric, then you're going to do fantastically. Just make sure you're working on this throughout the week. Okay? All right. Thanks. So this is pretty much the final product. This is about what I'm expecting from you. Perhaps a little bit more detail. So at least two elements of mixed media, drawing that I can clearly see. You can use color. You can see that I added a little bit of colored pencil to the inner corner of the eye. You can certainly use more than that. Yeah, so that's about it. Please take a full week on this project. Obviously I did not, so I expect you to spend more time on yours. Please ask questions if you have them. Yeah, so that's it, guys. Thank you.